JIRA for asset management. Woo! Okay, so I'm going to go through a couple of quick things. Just basically take you on a bit of a story. What is asset management? How we do asset management at Atlassian? How we got there? How we implemented asset management? And how it's going so far, and where we're going to take it in the future. So, first off, what is asset management? Yeah, a bit dry. Yeah. Asset management is really kind of hard to define. So no one shouted out what is asset management, so kind of the management of assets, right? Yeah. So what's an asset? That's kind of easy to define, right? That's something that you own, something that's got some value. If you're a factory, it's your factory hardware. It's something that you use to make money. It's something that you could sell, perhaps. So for Atlassian, a lot of our assets are the computers that we use. I'd love to show you this one, but it's really wired in. For British Airways, their assets are aircraft. Yeah, they use them to fly their passengers around and make money that way. So that's an asset. And asset management, as I said, the management of those assets. So it's making sure that your assets are accounted for, that you know where they are. And it's making sure that those assets are maintained. That's your traditional view of asset management. So this is a picture of the 2011 cabin crew strike that affected a bunch of airlines, including British Airways. That's Heathrow Airport. This picture is an asset management dream. Like all of the assets, they're right there. You can see exactly where they are. Are they maintained? I don't know. I'm just going to walk up to that engine and I'm going to say, yep, that's got all of its fins, no birds, fantastic. Asset management dream. British Airways nightmare. They're not making any money. So the recent advance in certainly IT asset management has been making sure that you get the most out of your assets as well. So companies like Gartner, companies like Sage Accounting have published large pieces of work on. Sage published a great article on the cost of spreadsheets in asset management. And they figured for about a $2 million company, you could be spending as much as $50,000 a year in just ghost assets, things that weren't there because your spreadsheets weren't working properly. Gartner say that you can save about 30% of your IT spend every year. 30% of your annual IT spend in your first year that you really fix IT asset management from using, say, spreadsheets. So it's kind of important in getting that effectiveness out of your assets. But I'm going to go around one more time. So I've done what is an asset. So I did what is asset management, what is an asset, what is asset management. One more time, what's an asset? Well, maybe it is British Airways plane, but inside that plane you've got seats, you've got engines, you've got a tail fin. Like that engine, you could take that off that plane, you could stick it on another plane. So is that engine an asset? Yeah, I got some nods there. Some maybe shakes your head. It's really up to the organization that you work for and their accounting team to figure out what makes sense for you. So I can't stand up here and tell you what is an asset. That's going to be up to you guys. So that's sort of what is asset management. I want to tell you a little bit about before asset management at Atlassian. Well, not really before, but before it got good, I think. So we've grown a lot in the last couple of years. And in fact, since 2011 to today, when I wrote this presentation, we just hit 1,100 users, which works really nicely because it's exactly 3 times the number that we had in 2011. So a lot of our problems are to do with how fast we grow. And we started looking at asset management about 2 years ago. So we've had this sort of growth throughout that. And why look at it? I mean, surely these are questions that everyone can answer, right? No. We didn't really know. So what assets do we have? What have we got out there? Who's using them? What condition are they in? Have they had like a pot of coffee spilled through them? Don't know. This is what asset management looked like in 2008. Has anyone used Confluence and wiki markup tables in Confluence? I got some, yeah, this guy here's doing this. Yeah, exactly. No one really enjoyed using wiki markup tables because they are complicated. You can't sort them. To search through something, you have to use your browser's built-in search. If I wanted to know how many computers we had out there in the workplace, I'd count the rows on this table. Brilliant, huh? About the only thing that changed from 2008 to 2012 when we looked at implementing asset management was that the amount of RAM that these things had in them got bigger, and the table got longer. In fact, recently when I tried to open this page again, it exceeded the render time for the page, and it refused to load. So we identified some stakeholders for asset management. We've got our IT team and our finance team. Now, I realized after I put that this isn't really fair. I mean, you go into our IT department on any given day, and you'll probably see someone dressed as Batman as well. But with these guys, we got some really key requirements for asset management. We didn't want to spend a lot on it. We wanted to figure out exactly what we had and where it was. We wanted to integrate with our existing fixed asset management system, which was NetSuite. We wanted to be flexible enough to handle any kind of IT asset that we had in the building and in our servers, data centers as well. We wanted to be able to identify easily the items that were coming in and the items that were going out of the organization, because we don't want to have stuff that's left the building, left the organization, still clogging up our books. It's expensive. And lastly, we're really busy. And if you can imagine that tripling in size in a couple of years there, we've got a lot of work. So we wanted something that was lightweight, and we wanted to deliver something that was great for our users as well. So the initial rollout that we targeted was over 3 geos. So Sydney, our main office, San Francisco, another key office, and our location in Amsterdam as well. 2,500 users, sorry, 2,500 assets, approximately over about 700 users. So, our budget, 2,500 assets for the hardware, for the asset tags, the software that we're going to be using. What do you reckon? 100 grand? Yeah, sound reasonable? Yeah? So 50 grand. Is that pretty reasonable? Yeah? 25? 15? What if I said 5 grand? Yeah, a couple of woes there. I didn't miss a zero off. Truly $5,000 for all of our asset tagging hardware, the scanners that we were going to go to use them, the software that would print them, the JIRA everything. So that's pretty low cost, right? These are our requirements. And it's actually my IT manager, Peter, at the back there, who suggested using JIRA for this. So thanks, Pete. We already had a JIRA instance running, low cost. All of our users are already in there. We want to assign computers to users. Great, let's lob it into JIRA. So how do we do that? Well, first off, looking at asset tags. So the way that we wanted to identify things, putting a tag on every item and saying, this is item number 1, this is item number 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. We started printing them internally. Now, our asset tags have a QR code on them, and we did this really funky thing where each of the QR codes point to an issue in a JIRA instance. That's pretty sweet. You can scan the issue with like your mobile phone or with the barcode scanner, and bam, straight to the JIRA issue. You can do it on your mobile phone. So let's say I'm at someone's desk, scan the QR code, great, I can assign it, or I can move it to a service status. We want it to be really hard to remove, so our really awesome developers wouldn't go, oh yeah, it messes up like the look. I've got a couple of Bitbucket stickers on there, but it really doesn't go with the motif. So we had to resist that. And also had to remind them that, guys, it's our computer. So by tagging every asset, and by saying your issue number, your asset number 1, your asset number 2, and using JIRA's CSV export, we could send those CSV files to our finance team, who could then look at NetSuite and go, yeah, great, okay, serial number, asset tag, description, Dell, Apple, and that then ties in with NetSuite. So we've got our identification of assets, and we've got a way of integrating with NetSuite there really nicely. So what else are we going to do? So building a JIRA project to handle asset management it's pretty complicated. So I went through 3 major steps when I was building this. First off, looking at everything that we could possibly track. So mostly that was going to be computers, phones, TVs, monitors, servers, projectors, toasters, just about everything that you can imagine in a building. And looking at the different kinds of things that we would be using and what the characteristics that we wanted to know of those things were. So for a computer, maybe that's the processor, the amount of RAM that it's got, the hard drive size. For a toaster, is it 2 slots, is it 4 slots? A projector, like the wattage. And then also all the different statuses that those things could be in. Is it with our user? Is it at the Apple store being repaired? Or has it been involved in some sort of crazy chemical explosion with something green and needs service? So those are all the sorts of things that we considered. Ooh, that was fun. I'm going to go quickly. And by building out a really robust JIRA project like that, we were able to make something that was really flexible enough to handle anything that we wanted to track within these projects. And the next thing when you're building a JIRA project is the workflow. So I'm going to talk you through the workflow that I built for this. JIRA workflows all start with basically a start or create issue, we renamed our create issue to just entering the item details because we figured that's going to be the first step on an asset management plan. The next step when we looked at it was, we're going to have several locations. So we want to create 10,000 asset tags for Sydney, 10,000 for San Francisco, and like a couple of hundred for Amsterdam because it's small. But we didn't want the tags that we weren't using to sort of be involved and sort of get in the way of our reporting. So the first thing we did was put a status in saying, these aren't in use at the moment. And we can transition both ways between that. So I can pick up a tag from a role, I can stick it on an item, I can say this tag is now in use. I can then enter the item details into any one of the statuses that an asset. So this is predominantly for computers. So this is the statuses that any of our computer assets can be in. I might have just received an order of 20 items. They can go into stock. Something might be urgent for an end user, so I'll stick a tag on it, I'll enter the details, the screen will go off, and it will go to the user. At any point, if a computer or if an asset has been in one of these statuses for a while, we can move it to obsolete. So it's no longer really useful for us in what we're doing, and it's pending disposal. Whilst I was doing this, someone sort of knocked on because I'd kind of sequestered myself away for a fortnight building this. Someone knocked on the door. It's like, Dan, my laptop's been nicked. It's like, oh, heck. How do I deal with that? Okay, cool. Reported lost, missing, or stolen. Got to put that in there. So that worked really well for it because we then got this status, and I could ignore the person. Sorry. But it got me thinking as well about service. And how do we handle when something goes off for service? Or how do I know from a user when something's gone wrong? So we put in place a service request. Any user can transition their issue to service request going, is something wrong? I've spilled tea on it. It's exploded. Battery's expanded. It's got a virus. And that became really visible for us. And again, when something goes off-site for repair, I need to know that it's left the building, and I need to know that I'm going to have to chase up on that. So off-site for repair became an important step. And finally, awaiting disposal and asset disposed. Through Atlassian, we've got a few ways that we can get rid of things. So we have a charity auction internally, or if something is completely destroyed, we look at e-cycling. But that step, we played around with having that step approvable by our finance team as well. So they could say, hey, yes, you can get rid of this. So I kind of hinted at that one there. So incoming and outgoing assets. JIRA Status is a reportable one. You can write a simple JIRA query which says, show me everything that has gone through the coming into stock or the stuff that has been entered into item details in the last 30 days or the last 6 months, the last however long it's been running for. Show me stuff that's gone out through asset disposed. And I have a really easy way. I can pull a list of items. Great. Export that as CSV, off to NetSuite, and out they go. Easy. How about getting stuff in, though? I mean, how do you tag 2,500 assets? Well, put up a giant help wanted sign to some of our IT contractors and said, hey guys, have you got someone that knows about computers? So we just need them to know about hardware. And they sent us a couple of guys who've never used JIRA before. It's like, ooh, this is going to be interesting. So really, really quickly, I built a different workflow. So I built a really simple workflow. There we go. And these guys could just load up scan an asset tag, stick it on a computer, and select in service with the user. They could assign it straight to the user, and then we gave them some documentation on how to figure out what the spec of a computer was. Easy. So about a week later, we captured everything in our Sydney office at least, and we could migrate the workflow. So if you look, those three statuses, the stock, in service, and obsolete pending disposal, they map exactly to the stock, obsolete, and pending disposal, stock, in service, and pending disposal on the main workflow. So you have a simple way of entering assets that someone who's never really used JIRA before can get to grips with very simply and very quickly, and then you can migrate to this awesome workflow to get the extra power and the extra information that you can pull from that. So that's how we got everything in. Lightweight, fast, and certainly easy for us because we just handed it off to the contractors. Before the capture, we put up a lot of posters around the office. We sent out emails. We put out blog posts. We stood up at all hands and basically said, look, this is what's going to happen. This is who's going to come around. This is what they're going to do. This is how it benefits you. So basically, you're going to be able to see what's going on. And we're going to know more about your things. Because we're going to know more about your things, we can help you out better. So if you say to me, your computer's slow, I can pull it up and go, wow, a Pentium 4 with 1 gig of RAM? Yeah, that is slow. Yikes. And on the day and following up with people, we had a really great team of people that supervised. And they were able to basically just check up, and we left these nice little cards with kittens on them to say, sorry, we missed you. Everyone loves a kitten, right? Which was nice. But to be honest, I'm going to share with you a really high-tech secret now. This is how we tracked when we'd done something. So it's called a highlighter pen. It was great. We could just see exactly who had done what, who we'd been able to get round to, and then we could follow up pretty quickly and pretty easily. And when you've tagged something, it's kind of obvious because it's got an asset tag on it. If you haven't tagged something, it doesn't have an asset tag. So it's great, right? So after implementing asset management at Atlassian through JIRA, what were we able to answer? So these questions that we were asked before, what have we got? How much are they worth? Where are they? Who's using them? Easy. We can answer these questions. But it turned out we gathered so much data that we could answer a ton of other questions as well. It's like, how many antivirus licenses do we need? Okay, so who's got Windows computers? Yeah, we definitely need antiviruses for those. What percentage of our computers are laptops? How many of our computers have got USB 3 if we want to look at USB 3 for connecting to something? How about mini DisplayPort for connecting to our video conference units? What's the best kind of connection there? So all of this data, we've got so much rich data, it's now just a case of analyzing it and figuring out how we can best use it to look after our customers. So today we've got over $3.2 million worth of assets just in laptop and desktop computers in our JIRA project, which is quite a huge number. Using this data, we've been able to say to people, when Apple put out an advisory saying a particular model of MacBook Air has a fault or a potential fault with the SSDs, we were able to interrogate JIRA. Within about 2.5 minutes, we could see that there were 8 people who were affected by this, globally, in all of our offices. We were able to proactively send out information to them saying, hey, look at this, we can sort you out. And we were able to look at ways that we could best service them. We set up a really neat little dashboard. So a percentage of computers that are in service versus ones that are in stock, how many are obsolete, how many are waiting to get rid of. So this is just a basic JIRA dashboard. I've kind of fudged these a little bit so you can see that there are a lot in service, requiring service request. It's not really that many, I promise. Not that bad. And the assets assigned to me, really simple. So every user will have a computer assigned to them, probably a monitor as well, maybe 2. It's great when someone leaves the organization, we can just really quickly poll and say, hey, we need back your MacBook Pro and 2 monitors, please. So we're not losing things anymore. So a system that's low cost, easy to identify all of the assets, integrates nicely with our fixed asset management system, identifies incoming, outgoing, is lightweight, and is really easy for us to use. And I think stuff like that Apple advisory, and the fact that our users can just write in the tag number of their computer, they can just say, my laptop is slow, it's tag 1234. And we can then pull the information that we need from that, and we can then offer them far better service than we had before. So we think that offers a far better user experience than anything else that we've seen. So where are we going in the future? Tinfoil dresses? No? Kind of awesome sunnies? No. We're piloting an outsourced imaging program in Sydney and, as of last week, San Francisco as well, where a contractor will image our computers for us and apply the asset tags. It's really great. We're looking at Casper integration as well. So desktop management software that we can poll and will send us the information about each computer so we don't have to manually find that information out. And we're looking at better ways that we can use JIRA Service Desk as well. So that's pretty much how we do asset management at Atlassian. I only have a 20-minute talk today, so I'm going to wrap up, but I just want to say a huge thank you to Dan Radigan, who is our Confluence content manager. And he has written a fantastic 5-part blog series on JIRA Asset Management at Atlassian. If you want to check it out, the website is blogs.atlassian.com. And if you have any questions, shoot me them on the bit.ly Ask Atlassian link, and I will do my very best to answer them for you. Cool. Thank you very much.